to see you. Thanks for coming out together. So today I will be giving a sermon. Jerry is in DC right now, and they asked him this morning to give a testimony at their service in 5 to 7 minutes. And I was like, oh, good luck on that, honey. We're probably going to preach for like 10-15 minutes. But anyway, he sends his greetings. And today we're starting a new sermon series called March Madness. If you know basketball, I believe it's related to basketball, right?
Yes.
So we're going inspired by that. So it's going to be all about when life gets messy. Life can be messy and it can be complicated. So how do we clean up that mess and let God in so that we don't let that mess take us over, right? So that's what March should be about. And to start off, what holiday are we celebrating in Mobile? Everyone. Mardi Gras, right? Is it working right? Okay, so we went to a Mardi Gras parade recently, and it was pretty awesome. A ton of fun. This year we went to a new spot right across Explorium, that grass area. So the kids had lots of room to run, and it's pretty incredible actually what all these crews put on. I guess the one last night in Mobile had like 133,000 people attending, I read somewhere. And it's very impressive and just a neat experience. We had friends from Wisconsin, so that was really fun for them. We definitely don't do this in the Midwest. But what was really interesting too was the cleanup right after. It was impressive. I'm so glad someone warned us, because where we were standing right by like the gates, they warned us. So we started preparing, making sure we had all our things. We had all these little kids, and they are crazy, like in a good way. But the second the parade is done, the cleanup crew, they're just like, they will, if a kid is on that gate, they will move that gate with the kid. Like, they don't stop for anything. So it was like almost just maybe more entertaining even than the parade. Because they were just, it was like, 50 of them. And like, it's very impressive. So you have like this fun, this party, but then in order to get back to normal life the next day, you need this cleanup crew, right? And so that's kind of a reminder for what we're going to talk about today with decluttering our life. So that's a sermon for today. I don't know how you all feel about clutter. We're going to learn a lot about it today. But a lot of us feel overwhelmed, right? Sometimes. I know I do. You feel like you wear a lot of different hats, your different roles, like your job, your family, your friends. Maybe you have several different jobs or things that you do. And it feels like there's always a million things on our list, right? Especially as women, I struggle with it because apparently guys have these nice boxes, right? You can compartmentalize things in your brain, but we have wires, and it's all connected, so I get jealous, like, I wish I could just put that thought in this box over here and not worry about it. But it's harder for me, and maybe for some of you, where it's like, Jerry will sometimes be like, how do you jump from this to that, but that's how we're made. And so sometimes it feels like a seemingly endless list, right? Or tasks we need to do seem really far out of our reach. And there's other words that come to mind when we're in this state, right? Overwhelmed is one. Can you click mine? Mine's not. See if it'll work. Okay, no, that's fine. There's other words as well. Claustrophobic, jumbled, cloudy, stressed, fearful, scatterbrained, and even paralyzed. So these are words that are not right, that you don't want in your life. And so if you look externally at our lives, we store a lot of things. We store things in our cars, our houses, our garages, maybe a storage unit, but also in our minds and our own hearts, we store a lot of information. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. So whether you have, I hope your office doesn't look like that, but maybe it does. Maybe it's hard to put our clothes away in time. Our issue is like our kids' craft room. It looks like that sometimes. You just want to take a rake, with your kids' toys. Maybe your office or your mind is just overwhelmed with all the things you need to do. And maybe you're really organized and you've taken care of that. Maybe it's your garage. Or I think everyone has at least one junk drawer in their house, right? Or a junk closet or an attic or something. If you don't, that's really amazing. But so you may, though, have digital clutter. This is a new thing now. My desktop looks like that sometimes. Or maybe it's your emails that are like, your inbox is like 20,000 emails you haven't clicked on. So there's all this different clutter in our lives, right? And we think that it'll fulfill us, but it's actually more of a temporary joy, a temporary fulfillment that kind of takes over our life. So our external environment, you know, where we live, how we live definitely affects our internal environment, right? Like when you see those pictures, it's almost like hard to breathe. Like, I don't know how you feel about it, but when I see it, it's just like, ooh, right? Like you don't want to live like that. So it's hard sometimes because it's all around us, the marketing, people are constantly trying to sell us something or create things that even don't work that well so that in a few months you want the next better one, right? So it's constantly, everyone's trying to get us to buy more. But do we really need it? So let's look at clutter and what it is. So it's a lot of different things. Of course, our physical stuff. Even like paper, stacks of paper, or clothes, or books, decorations for Christmas, or toys, different things, right? Then now we also have this era of digital clutter that we shared earlier. And then mental clutters are things like fears that we have, or hearing a voice from your boss constantly in your mind, or your spouse. News, maybe it pops up on your phone and you let that just kind of take you over mentally, or even the kind of music that we listen to. Emotional clutter is that little voice in your head of I can't, right? Not believing in yourself, having that self-doubt, or negative patterns that we create. And spiritual clutter includes lack of forgiveness, so not forgiving others, a lack of peace, and a lack of God's love in our life. So these are all different kinds of clutters. Some are more obvious than others, right? Like maybe your storage room, or your closet, or that little junk drawer. But the ones that may seem subtle, like the emotional and the spiritual clutter, they're actually they can be the most paralyzing if that's like filling you up all the time, right, in a negative way. And clutter keeps us from living the life that we want to live. So what is clutter? This is kind of, I think, a really eye-opening idea. Clutter is defined as postponed decisions. Here we go. So clutter is postponed decisions. So if you look at, your pile of bills or laundry, they're like little decisions you have to make. Okay, I got my mail today, I'm just going to stick it over here. Versus, okay, let me go through this mail right now and sort it, make those decisions, right? Or sometimes it's that clothes in our closet, that big pile of clothes that we're going to grow back into because we're going to get all fit and it's sitting there waiting for us. There's lots of different decisions that we have to make in order to remove that clutter from our life. I thought that was pretty eye-opening. And God wants us to declutter all the different areas of our life, right? So, like we mentioned, the paper piles and the emails, or things like we choose to not face our fears that we've, gotten over time. Maybe it's a newer fear from different life experiences we've gone through, or fear we've always had. Picking up bad habits or concepts of others and hanging on to those things. Avoiding the decision to love yourself and believe in yourself, that's an emotional fear. And not deciding to forgive others, right? Those are all clutters in our life. But then we're not really fulfilling our purpose because we're scared to take that step. We've actually done a lot of decluttering the last couple years. When we moved, that was a really big one. And it looked pretty funny when I felt bad for our neighbors. When we were moving, we literally took so much stuff out of our house and just put it on our lawn and Facebook Marketplace, garage sale, come on by, and it was like full of stuff, and by the end we were like, free, come and get it. But you know, it was a time where we had to kind of do that with like the physical move, right, across the country. And also it was like, imagine your parents' entire house plus your entire house. That's the kind of clutter we've had to work on, and we're still working on. You know, we brought some of those things. But it's been actually also really like, I guess a weight off your shoulders, right? When you're able to let go of some things. And still in our new home, because we were in an apartment, we had a lot of things in storage, and then, you know, then we moved into a house, so we're constantly going through things and trying to make each room more beautiful, and see, you know, what do we really need in our lives, right? So the question is, sometimes we feel stuck and we just want to postpone it. We're scared of that, even taking that baby step. So the question is how to declutter your life. And there is someone who has been getting a lot of attention, and apparently Goodwills are like doing really well right now. Who knows what condoing is? Does anyone know that term? Well, you're about to find out.
Oh, yes.
So, this is going to be a short video for Marie Kondo. She's from Japan. She has a Netflix series now. It started out with a book, and it's like really touched a lot of people. And she's going to share with you how to declutter, and it's all on this concept of sparking joy. So if you can play that video, enjoy. You'll learn all about sparking joy. Method of Marie Kondo.
ときめくものとそうでないもの。
Key point for distinguishing items which spark joy from those which don't is to feel the item in your
こ
hands.
う触って
Take each piece of clothing in your hand and see how your body responds. See if it sparks joy in you.
してみましょう。じゃあ例えばときめくもの。
When you touch an item that sparks joy, your body would respond this way.
キュン。こんな風に体の細
Feels as if every part or every cell of your body lifts up little by little.
触った時の
This is a sensation your body would feel when you touch items that spark joy. On the contrary, when you touch an item which does not spark joy, you would feel
ズン、ズンという風に
as such, every part of your body feels like it weighs down.
これ皆さんも見て
It may look odd as you're just watching, but when you actually feel the item,
体の
surprisingly the response from the body would be different than you imagine, and you will be more sensitive as you do it. Like so, try it with each and every piece of clothing you own and see if the item makes you happy now, that they should remain with you.
So that's all about what sparks joy. And I don't know if any of you have tried this. It's really neat actually when she first comes into someone's home. The first thing she does is thank the home. So she I think some of this is influenced by Buddhism too, but she'll sit on the floor, put her hands on the floor, have almost like a moment of silence or connection with the home and prayer. And then, then they're ready to kind of start going through each room or each item, right? And I thought that was a really neat, simple but neat, explanation of how to declutter not only our external things but internally, because the purpose of life is that joy, right? God wants us to be happy and fulfilled and joyful. So Marie's saying, does it spark joy? Applying that into not just our clothes or things piling up in our home, but also in our own lives, thinking about, does this person spark joy, or does, this relationship spark joy, or this job that I have, or, different situations and things. And sometimes it's tricky, because what if it's like your boss that doesn't spark joy, or what if it's someone in your home that does not spark joy? I'm not saying just toss that away if it's something you can't really that's in your life. But maybe you need like a little moment of pause or like a break sometimes, right? In order to see why they initially spark joy in you. Or maybe it is a drastic decision like I really need to change my job, right? If it's not sparking joy. So there's different things that we can do, in our lives, thinking about like, does it serve a purpose? Is it bringing joy to us or dragging us down? Do the people we surround ourselves with spark joy? Do the choices we make day to day spark joy? I know one thing I'm not very good at and doesn't spark joy is the way I wake up in the morning. I recently read about parents that they really need to wake up before their kids, because otherwise you're woken up by, a slap on the face or kids screaming or crying or maybe they're even just being cute, but you're tired and you're like, let me sleep. So that's something I want to work on. I've heard that it does wonders waking up, not to your kids waking you up, but even a few minutes before them. Jerry is better at that. I'm working on that. So, I've seen a couple episodes of Marie Khan and just wanted to share a couple things that I kind of gained from it. It's kind of fun writing this sermon because I would like sit and do our laundry while listening to a TED Talk or a sermon or watching Marie. And so in the episode, one couple shared that after doing this exercise, like every item in their home, when they saw it, the husband was like, I'd be like, why is this here? Like, and it that was like a new mindset he gained. This husband had a baseball card collection of over 10,000, and there's like just boxes on the side of his bedroom, right, just piling up. And he says that now he's able to treasure 10 baseball cards over the 10,000, and really just, he feels that, we fill our life with cluttery things that brought life for a moment we thought were important, but when stacked up, it doesn't allow room for things that bring deep joy. And actually what was interesting too in some of these shows, they discover things that were tucked away and hidden that are actually really valuable, like maybe an heirloom or something from the grandparents, or they discovered like this, it was a Japanese-American family, they discovered all these like little, I don't know what they call it, Japanese doll collection thing, and through cleaning their house, he had like a special spot for them in his clean new garage. Or a lot of times it's photos, right, that aren't displayed. So that was really interesting, through getting rid of clutter, finding the valuable things that are hidden from all that clutter in our life. He also shared about the value of doing it together with his spouse and how sometimes it was challenging, but it really brought them closer together because they had that common goal that they were working towards, and that point of unity and just appreciating each other and making change together in their life. And he just shared that they felt lighter and more positive after, just a lot less worries, And in the Bible, Jesus even encouraged his followers to sell all that you have and give to the poor, right? Then you will have treasure in heaven, come follow me. So I think he realized that his disciples were stuck in their things and overwhelmed and immersed in that. And I don't know that we need to give away everything. I think he was making an analogy or, trying to make a point across, but at least clear out enough so that it doesn't cloud our vision, doesn't cloud what's important in our life, and keep us distant from God and from joy and from love. So sometimes, we'll start with subtle steps, like decluttering our house one drawer at a time. We've definitely been doing it, and it's been really great. Sometimes it's scary because you're like, oh, there's so much to do, but if you really just do a little bit here and there, it makes a difference. I know Emmy was sharing with her mom being in town, she was condoing and she was excited having that moment. Sometimes it's not winding down and watching Netflix, but instead going to your room and going through a closet or something. So sometimes it's a bigger step to declutter our lives, like possibly even a career change, or ending a relationship that's not healthy, or fixing a relationship that could be healthier, right? So another thing I wanted to share was what's on your list. So a lot of times when you're younger, you make lists, right? Like you have Santa's wish list, you have maybe a list of things I want to do before I'm 30 or before I die, or, you know, like these different goals and lists. So thinking about what is on that list and are we checking it off, right? Sometimes the day-to-day busyness of our life keeps us from doing the things that we love and we really want to do. And it keeps us occupied and away from true freedom and happiness, achieving our goals and our dreams. So thinking of that list of, you know, things you'd like to do in your life, and it can be fun, like I'd really like to swim with dolphins, which is more possible now living here, so close to the ocean. Or it could be something more, you know, internal or personal, a fear you want to overcome, or maybe it is traveling or relationship or something. But if we don't, you know, work on it now, then when will you? Right? We can't always choose to when the opportunity is at our door and when it's not there. There was a couple of TED Talks I watched. I feel like they had these moments that were unfortunately started by like tragedies or really difficult moments of their own health, right? Like a heart issue or things where they got very close to losing their life. And so the hope is that, you know, we can really see our life and our good health as a gift and not wait for something like that to happen to be like, you know, ooh, I want to make this change, or oh, what's important. I've started watching a show way back from like high school. I don't know if anyone remembers Everwood. I started rewatching it. Maybe it's more girly. But yeah, there's a doctor in town that's very like, you know, I don't know, not very personable and doesn't really make effort to build relationships. And then he goes for his annual checkup and they tell him that, oh, I saw something in your brain, come back for an MRI or something, a spot. And then he suddenly has like this nightmare of like, yeah, actually he's at his own funeral and like there's no one there except his family. So then the next day is like Thanksgiving and he suddenly, because of all this, invites over like the whole town to his house and tries to do like these drastic, you know, he's like, oh my gosh. And he's all suddenly all joyful and skipping down the streets. And, but then they called him and told him, I'm so sorry, it was a mistake, you're healthy, you're fine. And sadly he went back to his old self. But the point is, you know, that we shouldn't need to wait for those really intense wake-up calls. But sometimes that is what it takes, you know, in our life. There are moments of tragedies or challenges we go through where we really grow, and it makes us really want to take that step. But I encourage you that even right now this week, you know, to take a step, even if it's small, or if it's bigger. There's some words from Raymond Truffaut that I wanted to read. And it says, in the long course of a man's life, there are always ups and downs. When a man feels successful and like he is conquering the hills in his life, he feels joy. But when he feels unsuccessful and overwhelmed, he feels discouraged. Our physical bodies, but most important, our spirit men, both feel that emotion. Our minds should always be dwelling on how to achieve a higher goal and hope. When the mind is strong, the body always has strength as well. If the mind has a great vision and hope, the body always reacts by wanting to live up to it. And then he goes into the example of parents. So parents try to inspire their children so that they may have healthy minds and a great vision. When they feel low, the parents try to devise a way to uplift them. If the parents are really a tower of strength to their children, then there is peace in the home. This principle works the same on every level of the home, society, nation, world, and universe. And the last part, what kind of parents would you respect as a tower of strength? People who have a vision and hope and the guts to live them. The same thing can be said about God. He must be a source of hope and strength and will. So I really liked how honestly, Father is talking about our struggles and our ups and our downs, and how when you look at your own family, parents ideally should be that pillar, that strength, unchanging, or maybe it's your spouse or a friend, a mentor, and that in the end, that's also how God is to us, right, as our parent, unchanging. So when we don't allow God to be a part of our life, or more actively and intentionally, right, it's this like pillar that's right here that can be strong for us, that we're kind of ignoring or not inviting in. And so I really like that, and I think it's important that we ask God for the strength, to declutter our life, and that because then it can be very beautiful and joyful and relaxing. A lot of people share too about, are you a stuffed person or an experienced person? And of course it's fine to have things, we like to be presentable, we like to have games that, bring joy and different things. But in the end, I feel like we all are experienced people, I think, if we had to choose, creating experiences with your family and with your friends, and if there's things holding us back from doing that, it's a good time to take a look at that and figure out what's important. I really appreciated my home I grew up in Bartlett, Illinois. Everyone that came over, they would always be like, oh, it's so clean. And everyone that walked in would always have like this moment. And I know some kids or friends that would literally they said, when can I go to Auntie Barbara's house? When can I come over? I just want to feel peaceful. And they just felt very they could feel the presence of the home and the atmosphere that definitely, it was my mom. My dad had no clue about home organization or being a host. I mean, no, he would entertain you, make jokes, and be that kind of great host. But yeah, people really noticed it, and that was important to my parents, to have a nice home, to be able to bring people over, and friends and family. And she was very organized, everything is labeled, and it really did make a difference. I'm sure you know someone like that. But yeah, so in our lives, we want to really focus on those things that bring us joy, right? And work towards that more. And whether that's small things or external things, or maybe more internal things in our own hearts, I encourage you to reflect on that. As we pray, I encourage you to reflect on that and think about, what steps can I take, or what small things are in my way of something bigger, or what is that big pile of clutter hiding, those valuable moments that are important to you. And we want to give God something to bless, right? So you talk about, dear God, please bless this food, bless my friends, my family, my home. So really creating something that He wants to bless, right, for us. And so just in review, clutter is postponed decisions, and then the quality of our life is actually determined by decisions you make. So if we're living in clutter and postponing decisions, that's really keeping us from experiencing the full quality of our life that we're meant to have and that God wants us to have, right? So I hope that we can work on getting rid of some clutter in our life and making, sometimes even if you declutter it, new clutter will come back. That's normal. So deciding to keep making decisions along the way as well on that journey is important, and not postponing them. So we want to move from feeling overwhelmed and stressed and just busy, right, or anxious, to feeling peaceful and feeling fulfilled and complete, and feeling like you have more freedom, right, to do the things that you want to do, and to work on that list that you maybe once created or you will create. And in 1 Corinthians 14:33, it says that, for God is not a God of confusion, but a God of peace. So that's what I will leave you with today, and I hope that this can speak to you in some way or another, and and that we can together work on this month, really clearing out our lives and filling it with what's important to us. So thank you for joining this morning and being here. Feel free to share this message with your friends, or if it spoke to you in some way. And let's always pray for each other, pray for your friends or people are going through things. I think that can really be a spiritual support. So I'll go ahead and close in a prayer. Dear God, our Heavenly Parent, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this moment. We thank you for our life. And we thank you for the reminder this week to really look at our own lives and to really see what areas of our lives are taking up most of our time and possibly even cluttering or clouding our connection with you, our connection with our spouse or our family, and really with our passions, our desires, and the things that we want to achieve. I pray that you can help each of us to really declutter our lives and stop postponing decisions, but have the strength and the courage to start making more little decisions and big decisions so that we can have a full quality of life. I know you want each person here to be so happy and so fulfilled, and that you love each one of us so much, and you just want the best for us. So I pray that you can help us to get there, to recognize what maybe isn't as important and what we should focus our energy on, and really what sparks joy in our own lives so that we can spark joy in the lives of others. And we just thank you for being there for another week, another month, another opportunity. Thank you for this day, and we just want to take this time amidst all the celebrations and the fun to really reflect and pause and start to declutter our lives and our hearts and our minds. God, we thank you, and please be with each person here and those that couldn't be here. And thank you for giving us that vision, that love, and that vision of peace. We thank you and pray this in your name and in our name.